where do you find the time? Like, how do you manage your time?
I don't know, girl.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't sleep very much.
I actually would love to dig into that, you know, what it takes.
Yeah, time-wise, yeah. So yes, I work a lot actually. So I'm part of this program, but outside of the program, I spend a lot of my time building the product, researching, keeping in touch with my contacts, booking meetings. So yeah, I probably work most days until like some days until like 10 p.m.
My bedtime.
My bedtime.
Yeah. That's my TikTok scrolling time.
Yes, yeah.
What
Doom scrolling time.
Yeah, doom scrolling time. What time do you start?
In the morning. So we get to the dojo around 10 o'clock. So like 10 to 10.
Damn.
Yes. But you know what? With my journey so far, my 9 lives, I've been through so much that the decision for me to quit my job and to rediscover myself, and now I'm here and I'm back in my entrepreneurial spirit. It feels right.
Yeah.
It feels good. And even though I'm tired, I'm still excited. And that's a feeling that, I mean, it'll be hard to give up. Yeah. So it makes it worth it. It's worth it.
Today on the Nova and Boba podcast, we are so excited to introduce a fantastic and phenomenal entrepreneur named Crystal. You're going to be hearing more about her. But before we get into that, I just wanted to thank Block Dojo for doing a crossover episode with us. So Kate's going to explain a bit about what Block Dojo do and why they're partnering with Nova and Boba.
Thank you so much. We're so excited for this episode. We are a venture builder based in London. We focus on Web3 and AI companies and take founders from an idea to an MVP ready for investment in our 12-week program.
Brilliant. And your investors have gone on to receive following funding from pretty amazing tech firms, right?
Yeah, so a few of our founders have gone on to Techstars, which, you know, the pinnacle of incubators. And some other ones have received investment from big family offices. I think one of our companies is actually now on Crowdcube looking for top-up funding on their seed round. So
Brilliant. So we're so excited to have Block Dojo and Kate here with us today. So yeah, do you want to introduce our fantastic, amazing guest who I'm super excited to interview?
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
So our fantastic guest today is actually on the Block Dojo Venture Builder program at the moment. It is Crystal. She is a first-class computer science graduate.
Women in STEM.
Yeah, a software engineer with specialization in investment banking and risk management. She also previously had a bit of a career building some e-commerce brands and selling them. And now she is in the Block Dojo Venture Builder program, building her AI-powered interview co-pilot. Welcome, Crystal.
Hi,
Thank you,
Thanks
Crystal.
for having me.
So the way we like to sort of start the podcast is just to get to know you personally,
Sure.
get to know a bit about your background, how you were as a child, because we really feel that how you were as a child and your early entrepreneurial pursuits really shape who you are today. So yeah, just share with us a bit of your story, Crystal.
Oh God, where do I start? I always tell people I feel like I've lived 9 lives like a cat because like my old life is like a completely different person. So I grew up really creative. I come from a creative arts background. So I grew up learning predominantly music. I knew how to play the saxophone, the piano, the guitar. I was in an orchestra. I was in a child jazz band. And my passion was like building and making things. So I was into fashion and I was into art and languages. So yeah, as a child, I was just one of those kids that loved to do lots of different things. And yeah, after that, my main interest was in languages and in fashion. So I went and I did a fashion degree. And that was interesting. So I did my fashion degree and I did a year's work outside. So we did like a sandwich year. And so I did a year's work in the industry. Half the year I did fashion buying and the other half of the year I did like pattern cutting, beading. I worked for couture.
Yeah. So it's fashion design as well.
Proper fashion design, yeah. So I worked for a couture designer in London and we got all of her pieces ready for a London Fashion Week. And then I went over to Paris and I worked for Matthew Williamson. and did Paris Fashion Week and got everything ready for that.
Wow.
But because I studied French and I was good at French and my French was kind of fluent, I thought I was going to like pack up, move to Paris and like live the life of Paris. And it just didn't work out that way for a number of reasons, because the fashion industry at the time just really wasn't a very inclusive place. And on top of that, unfortunately, it kind of like shattered my whole fantasy of the whole thing. So I came back from all of that and I was like, okay, what now? What do I do? Because, yeah, I'm very solution orientated. If something isn't working out, I'm very happy to stop that and think of a solution, do something else. So after that, I went into retail, luxury retail. I worked for Selfridges. I worked in Harrods. Fun, but also not fun because you don't get weekends. And but because I studied fashion, I was really passionate about branding and creating stuff. So then I quit all of that and decided that I was going to go full time into creating e-commerce stores. And at the time, sorry, this is a long story.
No, this is very fascinating. I'm learning more about you than I knew.
It's such a cool story, like about your resilience.
Yeah, girl, resilience. I know one thing about that, if that's for sure. Because my story gets worse.
The fact that you were able to bounce back, like having your reality shattered, you know, that can really hurt people.
Yeah,
especially
it does.
When it was your dream, I guess, from a child. Imagine being a fashion designer in Paris.
Yeah, it was literally my passion, my dream. I used to make things from scratch by hand. As a child, I used to make my own clothes. So yeah, that whole world kind of did get shattered. But my whole mentality is that it's fine. I can just do something else. And I pretty much lived by that. So yeah, retail was not doing it for me. And I decided to go and design these brands. And at the time, drop shipping was really popular. So I first started with creating a brand for myself. And it was a children's wear brand on Shopify. I had all of my products on there. I did all the marketing. I built my followers to like 7,000 people. And then I realized that my return on spend, ROI, wasn't quite what I thought it would be. And it would take a number of years for me to really see large profits. So I decided to sell my company. And that's where I discovered there's like a whole marketplace for websites and businesses and people just wanting to take that off your hands. So I sold it very quickly within a week.
How did you know that you could do
Google. I was like, how do I sell my store? And there was this, I can't remember the name of the site, but there's these marketplaces for actual stores and websites. So you can go and buy a children's wear brand, a wig brand, a clothing brand. And it was taken off my hands in a week. And I was like, wow, that was quick. And I made money. Much more money than I was making selling the product. So I was like, you know what, I will just do that again.
So someone saw it, knew it was making money and just wanted to use it as a vehicle to make more money for themselves.
Well, it's for people who maybe don't have the technicalities to all the time to build the Shopify stores, because it does take a lot of time to have to upload all the products, do all of the metadata. And also I was customizing the templates and stuff. And so most people are just like, oh, I just want to buy one. There's tons of people who don't necessarily have the time or the technicalities to do that. So then, I created another one. It was another children's wear brand. And I just changed the branding slightly. And that was gone within a week. And so I was like, just
making them buy,
turning these sites over. And I ended up selling about 20 of these stores. Before it all kind of like, that was the heydays, it all kind of came crashing down, like drop shipping stopped being a thing. And also the pricing was reduced because people started cutting their pricing. So I was making less and less money. But it was also my introduction to coding because I offered support to the people who bought my product, and they would often come back to me and say, I would want this image here or that image there. And that's when I learned to kind of dig into the code, and I taught myself CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, you can shift things. And I realized, actually, I love this way more And but still was like, okay, what am I doing with my life?
Aren't we all?
Yeah, right. Oh gosh, it's a constant thing. And I was like, I would actually love to be a software engineer, but because I had a fashion degree, I was finding it really hard for the hiring managers to take me seriously. Even though I had all of these stores that I had sold, it still wasn't enough. So I looked at boot camps, but I settled on basically going back to university and getting a computer science degree. And the first year I completely smashed it. I got a first in my first year. And turns out I'm actually pretty smart. Like all the maths that I learned at 15 came back. But it was strange because I was a mature student at that time. I went back to university again at the age of 25.
How did that feel?
Strange.
Yeah. And
everybody thought I was old.
and how did it feel like? How did you? That's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Going back to have another degree. What made you think that I'm so convicted that I'm gonna?
So I weighed up my the pros and cons of basically diving into this or waiting for something else. And obviously being in that space, I realized that technology is really the future. And having the ability to code, to program, to build things is a skill that will never vanish. It's an invaluable skill. And I am a bit of a nerd, so I love technology generally, and was like, if I don't do this now, I will regret it.
Yeah.
And it's a huge payoff. It's 3-4 years of my time that won't be making, the income that I was making, and dedicated to studying and making sure I get good grades. It was a tough decision, and it did affect my life in many ways.
Because I remember hearing this quote that you're going to be 3-4 years older anyway.
Exactly.
The time
passes
pass,
anyway.
So
yeah, that's exactly it. That was the decision maker for me. I thought, fine, I'll just dive back in.
Yeah. Fair enough. Oh, thank you so much, Crystal.
That was a long response.
Don't worry at all. And because this is a podcast mainly for aspiring entrepreneurs and other early stage founders, we want to know everything you did in 0 to 6 months to really get your platform off the ground. Any key insights?
My platform now?
Yeah, your platform now.
Well, actually, being a part of the Block Dojo is a large part of that. And it's a 3-month program. So I would say what you guys do is you help us to get something that would probably take a year condensed down into 3 months. So I can give you my 3 months journey. What I can say is that I'm a completely different person now than I was 3 months ago. And that's because the program is so intense and you learn so much about business. I've learned way more than I could have Googled, honestly. So yeah, from 0 to now, it started off with an idea. And I think that's another thing that's amazing about the Block Dojo program is they take you in with your idea. And I remember meeting Kate at an event before I applied because I was curious about the whole thing. And I was like, oh, I've got this idea. I've got this app that I'm making. And Kate was like, just apply. And so I did. And part of the application process is putting together a pitch deck. So I spent like 3 days back to back putting together the pitch deck and coming up with like a compelling business proposition. And in the beginning, I had like 3 parts of my business. I developed a product for myself because, there's so much more to the story after the computer science degree thing.
Yeah, feel free to.
I don't even know where to start. There's a whole chunk of this thing.
There's lots of tabs that you have to click through. Yeah,
I've got lots of tabs open at the moment. But yeah, just on this, so I did the pitch deck, and I had developed a product for myself at the time, which was a CV AI tool for rewriting CVs and cover letters. It's so tedious. You've got to do that for every job now.
Yeah.
And you've got to optimize the CV and the cover letter so it can pass the ATS systems that all these companies are using.
What's an ATS system?
Applicant tracking system. Right. So when you apply for a job, your CV gets processed through this AI that companies are using, and it it basically can pinpoint your strengths and weaknesses based on their job description. So if you don't have the keywords, you won't even, you just be, you won't even
Put in the bin.
Yeah, straight in the bin. So there was that. And then I had the idea of creating an interview buddy for myself again to practice with coding interviews. I don't know if you know anything about software engineering and what it takes, the interview structure of what it takes for you to get a job as a software engineer. But it's really common to have anything from like 3 to 7 interviews.
Crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's pure insanity, actually.
Have you heard people are like, I'm not going to an interview unless I get paid? You know, there are apparently a few firms.
Honestly,
lots of people won't do portfolio work.
Yes.
So like when I've been in marketing, they ask you for tasks all the time, which is really standard. And like if it's a short, like write blog piece, I'm fine with that. But sometimes they will ask you to like do art, and this is where it's a bit tricky because they think that you're just doing free work. They'll be like, create a campaign doing this, and this. The launch date is this, and it's like you're totally going to use that. Yeah,
taking advantage.
Yeah, so there is kind of that element.
They do that. That happened to me a number of times. Really? Too many times to the point where I was like, I would always ask first thing, how many stages of an interview?
7 is too much. I just think 7 is way too much.
It's insane. Yeah, I've been through that.
And to go through
at
that
least
and not
4 or
get
5 times. And I've been to the end of 7 stages 4 times. And I didn't get the job.
That's not nice. Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's hard. So there's a lot of that is like you're training yourself to answer all of these questions because there's 1,000,001 questions that they can ask you. They can literally pick anything out of the computer science ecosystem. And so that was the tool that I wanted to create for myself. It's like a chatbot with ChatGPT to just practice simulating the interview. And then at the same time, the third part of this was because I had been in situations where on the hiring side, when it comes to hiring a candidate, a lot of companies focus on technical skills and they don't necessarily focus on the soft skills. And I think we've all been in positions where our managers or someone that we work with has a problematic personality trait that completely disrupts the team. And although they may be good technically, value-wise, they don't actually align with the company culture. And so I decided to also use the same underlying technology to build something to help businesses and hiring managers to conduct better, fairer, more objective, data-driven interviews. And then during my pitch, they really liked that one. And that was the one that we've decided to develop. So, sorry, that's still at stage 0.
Soon to be 1.
Soon to be 1, yeah. And since then on this program, it's just been a whirlwind of, every 4 days a week, we've got workshops where we're learning so much about what it really takes to get your idea from 0 to 100. So, yeah, it's been a whirlwind of information. I've been building the product. I've been building my contacts. You've got like a mentor part of the process where we're matched with mentors and they kind of help us to push us forward too. Lots of pitch training. It's like you take us as like, little babies and you really like grow us into these amazing founders that investors can really see our value and want to invest in. Yeah.
I was really curious about the value aspect, the values. How can AI be used to determine someone's values? And also, why is it important?
Why is it important?
Yeah, why compared to other criteria, which is like technical skills? Do you have data on people who match on a value-based level do better in jobs?
Well, yes, yeah. And I think that, so why it's important. So for too long, recruitment, and I'm talking about the phase of when you're doing an interview with the hiring, your potential manager, or you're in the interview with the, CTO, CEO. So it's past the screening stage, like you've already been put forward to interview with the company. For too long, all companies, to be honest, but especially in the tech industry, have been solely focusing on tech skills. It's like the number one criteria. Can they do this? Can they do that? And unfortunately, over time, what's happening is people are realizing that the retention rates are struggling. The retention rates are decreasing over time because people aren't feeling valued. And if you speak to enough people in the, generally anywhere, but especially in the tech industry, people are staying in companies on average 1 year to 2 years. And if you ask them why, it's usually down to a mismatch of what the business values are, what the business's expectations are of you outside of your technical skills and your personal values. And it's gotten to a point where organizations themselves are realizing they actually need to care. They need to care more about what matters to the people who are coming into the company. And there's data to prove that if someone is aligned with your business values, they're just more likely to stay. They're more likely to be happy over time. They're more likely to be promoted, and they're more likely to genuinely grow and develop their skills long term.
Because recruitment costs for companies are so high, but it's just funny how they had to realize there was an economic benefit for having a cultural fit and caring before being like, oh, let's,
It took them long enough.
Yeah.
I think that this really big shift started to happen post-lockdown. There's lots of layoffs that are happening at the moment in the tech industry. And
it just ruins the trust, doesn't it?
It ruins the trust, and there's a lot of, it demoralizes you. So yes, there are lots of really highly technical people on the market, but at the same time, they are still being picky about where they decide to work next. And my tool is basically to help businesses to assess those values so that they can make smarter decisions with who they hire, and it basically helps them with their retention rates.
Hey guys, a quick break from the podcast because I have something super exciting to share with you. Are you ready to scale your startup? Let's be real. Scaling a startup is no small feat, especially without the right network or investment support. That's why I'm so excited to introduce today's sponsor, Dojo, a global venture builder for founders in blockchain and AI. If you're ready to scale, Dojo's 12-week venture builder program is the game changer you need. They provide initial funding in exchange for equity, along with access to top-tier designers, developers, financial experts, and world-class mentors. Last year, startups in Dojo's program secured over 12 million in additional funding from leading venture firms like Techstars, Octopus Ventures, and Index Ventures. Apply now for the London cohort to accelerate your startup success. A link to fast-track your application is in the description below. Application closed on December 1st. Good luck, and let's get back into the podcast. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I just even want to dig in a bit further about how your AI platform works. Like if you could take us through a scenario on how and why we would be using it.
So our platform is used during the interview. So the hiring manager is using this tool on his end during the interview. And what it does is it records the conversation, it transcribes the conversation. He sees it being transcribed. And what it does is it analyzes the candidate's response in real time. And it will suggest to the hiring manager follow-up questions. And these follow-up questions are tailored to the candidate's response, which helps him to go deeper into the candidate and to develop more meaningful conversation during the interview. And then post-interview, as soon as the interview ends, you get a full candidate report. It's a deep analysis into basically all of their behaviors and their values. And this report can give you metrics on some of their key strengths. So it could be presentation, it could be confidence, it could be taking the initiative. It could be high in agreeableness or low in agreeableness. And it will really pinpoint their core values and what they value. And then the idea with that is that it will help you make a more objective, data-driven decisions rather than, because at the moment what it is during the behavioral interviews, not necessarily the technical ones, when it comes down to whether or not you like someone, it's really unconscious bias that comes into play. And what often happens is, let's say in a scenario where you two have both interviewed two candidates, you've interviewed Sam and Sally, and you have as well. And then I was to ask you who, as the CTO, who we're going to pick as the senior engineer. You can say Sam, you can say Sally. I would have to ask you why. And then I would have to trust your instinct, your gut instinct, because you may say, yeah, he answered all the questions quite confidently, seems to know what he's talking about. But really during the interview, you guys kikied on the fact that, you both like the same football team. Or, you grew up in the same place. And those signifiers as unconscious bias. And what happens in that case is that, well, okay, we're going to hire John, but Sally was actually the most qualified candidate for the role. And also Sally would have actually integrated much better with the team long term. So yeah, we're helping hiring managers and businesses to spot these cues and just to aid them in their decision making by giving them these objective insights.
Yeah, that's amazing because we all have unconscious bias.
Yeah, it's a very human thing.
It's a very human thing and it's a very testable thing. And I even watched a TikTok. There was this sort of white English guy whose name is Yasin for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
And he sent over a CV with his real name Yasin and one with Jack, and he got to 50 people of the same companies. Jack got 25 interviews and Yasin actually got 0.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so this is unconscious bias when people don't really know or recognize. It's actually a real
they don't
issue.
know and they don't recognize. And what can happen is that can just infiltrate an entire organization. And then unfortunately, the whole organization culture becomes quite toxic, quite bad, and it's hard to come back from that once that's in place. It's very expensive to fire people, honestly, and to restructure teams. So
it's not even great for culture. Everyone's seeing that tons of people got fired. People get
it's
anxious.
Not great. No, it's not great. So if you can try to prevent that, not only will the businesses save money over time, you build just a really good company reputation. People will genuinely want to work for your company.
And how did you train the models? Was it using research? Was it kind of actual lots of data? Or
so we're not necessarily training our model. What we do is we cross-analyze based on existing scientific psychometric frameworks. There's at least 4 that we're using at the moment. And what we do is we take the candidate's response to each question. We pass it through our smart engine, and it will cross-reference what they're saying against all of these well-tested scientific frameworks, and then we'll come out with something on the other end. Yeah, what AI can do at the moment is really incredible, and this is just with conversation. It's not necessarily even with body language, which is the next step.
Wow, we're gonna have a little game.
Okay.
I didn't tell you about this because I wanted to. You know what? This is why we want entrepreneurs. We know you're competitive.
You seen her on Welcome Day. Those games.
Yeah, it was scary.
Don't worry. I guess you kind of have to be. You gotta get in entrepreneurship. So, it's not that kind of game.
Okay.
It's not. It's not.
Damn it.
Yeah. So it's not that kind of game. But first of all, do you want to take the first one?
Yeah. Would you rather visit the past or the future, and when?
Oh yeah, I would rather visit the future. Yeah, I want to see what's going on.
How far?
Maybe 50 years. Yeah, nothing too crazy where humans don't exist.
Yeah, that's true. That would be a bit awkward.
I would love to go into the future 50 years just to see what's going on, and then come back and be like, yeah, I'm going to build this business.
I'm going to invest in this stock.
Yeah. The stocks would be really good.
Yes, yeah.
Not to take on a deep, but I'd be so scared to see the people that were gone.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry to you can't cross your own timeline, can you? Butterfly effect. So you'd need to go somewhere else.
Okay, fair.
So then you wouldn't have to think about the sad stuff.
Yeah.
And I love how you're thinking of it as a business opportunity.
Yeah, so my mind.
Would you rather spend a day brainstorming with your mentor or networking with potential investors?
I'm going to have to say the networking with the investors. just because I've been doing a lot of that already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I was telling Kate that I'm actually an introvert, but through this program, I've really had to put myself out there, and I've become a much more confident version of myself. And so now I can honestly say I love networking. I love meeting new people and learning other people's stories, and then also giving insights into what it is that I'm doing, and the kind of relationships that you can build with these networking events are honestly invaluable. Like you just don't know who's going to be what later down the line. And I think the relationship building aspect of all of this has become one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. Amazing. Would you rather be bought out by a big company or become a big company yourself?
Yeah, that is the question. If I'm honest, I would love to be bought out by a big company. I think the idea of becoming a big company, it sounds incredible, but the reality of that is it will take an incredible amount of time and an incredible amount of your soul and effort and everything. And I think the end goal, like the game plan, is to really build something that provides so much value that another organization can be like, you know what, that's incredible. We're going to take that off your hands. And it will also give me back the time to build something else, or to give back to, you know, the female founding community, which is actually one of the things I would do if I had time.
Yeah.
And
just you being you and building what you're doing now is all of the inspiration. So
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Out of these three incredible female founders, who would you rather have as an investor? Whitney Wolf from Bumble, Melanie Perkins from Canva, or Oprah Winfrey from Oprah Winfrey Media?
Oh, good question. I'm going to have to say Canva.
Okay.
What's her name?
Reasonings? Melanie Perkins.
Melanie Perkins. I'm going to have to say Melanie Perkins, just because I use Canva pretty much every day. And it is an incredible product. And I also know that she co-founded her business with her husband. And I don't know if I told you this, but my husband is my CTO. So I'm the founder of my business. And my husband is the CTO. So we work very closely together. And she's actually one of our inspirations of businesses that make it, you know, married couples that make it. So yeah, 100%. Although it's a hard pick, I'm not gonna lie.
She has a similar level of resilience to you though, because I think she got a lot of no's. Like she got laughed out of the room a lot. They were like, no one will use this.
Wow. Yeah. It's tough out here, especially for women actually.
She always inspires me, seeing how many times she was rejected and building such a phenomenal tech platform. Like, you don't really know many female technical CEOs. It's like,
you honestly don't.
Yeah, running a technology company.
So
section 3 is going to just delve in a little bit more about how you are a technical founder, like what you, how you learn, you know, what sort of practical tips and advice you can give for other aspiring founders. So
you mentioned earlier about, you know, learning how to code yourself, then going back to uni.
Yes.
In terms of approaching Cognevo and your platform, how did you go about it?
How did we do it?
How did you map it out? How did you actually get stuck in? Was it hard? I'm guessing it was very hard.
Yes, it's really hard. It was really hard, and it took a lot of work. I suppose, luckily for me, because I come from a technical background, so I've got already an understanding of how projects are done, right from the requirement gathering phase, and which is all about defining the problem that you're trying to solve, writing it down. And then what you do is you scope it out into chunks that are developable. So that's what we did with our scope, with our product, is we really sat down and said, okay, I did to my CTO. what is really the problem that we're having? So we talked through that, and then we did a quick wireframe and a user journey. So we said, okay, what would it look like so what's the problem we're having? What's the solution? And practically, what does it look like for somebody to use this product right from the beginning? And that really helps you to come up with the design of the product. And then once we had the design of the product and what the user can expect on each page, the problem we're solving, and the full flow of the service, I went away and created the front end, and he went away and thought about all of the back end technicalities. And there was obviously a discussion around what AI tools we would have to use to actually make this work. So we played around with a number of them: ChatGPT, Google AI Studio, and then we were like, okay, once we know what kind of tools we work that we want to use on the AI side, then it was like, okay, how are we going to build this together on the back end? And we decided to go down a number of routes that helped us to speed up development. So we use some no-code tools. One of them is called Flowwise. That helps you to completely visualize the service side. And using that tool cut down maybe 3 months of work into like 3 days. It's an incredible tool. So yeah, there was a lot of research done, especially when it comes to predominantly to tooling. So we had the tooling, we figured out what the service side was going to be, and then my job was just to make it look pretty and also have it flow and have the user experience and UI work in a way that's actually going to be optimized for hiring managers to use during the interview. I hope that's also.
Yeah. How, obviously, tech is very up and down, new things every week. How are you staying on top of everything that's changing?
Constant research. Every single day, I'm discovering new tools in the market, new ways of doing things. You actually can't afford to not do that because things are constantly changing. Like even the way that we've built our product can completely change. If we're not staying on top of things, we can easily miss out on market opportunity. I would say constant research. I'm signed up to a bunch of newsletters. I am unfortunately on Twitter.
You gotta be
all the time. And then a large part of that is going to events and networking with key people in the industry, just staying up to date with what's going on.
So do you think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice you'd give to
100%? Yeah. I mean, for you to be a leader for your product, to be an advocate for your product, you need to know your industry and you need to be up to date with whatever the hell is happening.
Yeah.
And we're going to go into briefly opportunities in AI. Like, where do you think they lie? And I also kind of want to know, where are you with your platform at the moment? Like, are you selling it? Like, just a bit of detail would be lovely.
So where we're at the moment is we're getting very, very close. We're nearly there. I feel like I keep saying that, but we're nearly there in terms of getting people to sign up. But amazingly, we already have 3 businesses that are going to be using our product, but they'll be using our product on a free trial basis. In exchange for feedback, so that we can go through and do iterations and really create something that is like, state of the art. And then, so after that testing phase, we'll be ready to launch to across London and Europe, because one of our clients that we're testing is based in Greece and Belgium. So soon in the next few months or so, like, we'll be ready for mass adoption.
Brilliant. And for aspiring entrepreneurs, what do you think the opportunities in AI are in terms of what industries? What can you do with AI?
There's so much opportunity with AI. AI has kind of become like a bit of a buzzword at the moment. So some industries are still a little bit resilient to the whole thing, but it's inevitable. AI is going to be introduced in so many ways that you can imagine, because it's incredible for automating things, right? I know that health tech is a big one at the moment. Yeah. And so I think if anyone can find anyone in health or who's a doctor or a nurse or anyone who's studying sciences at the moment, if you can find an AI solution in health tech, it's an incredible industry that's rapidly expanding like crazy.
There's some crazy stuff in there, actually.
Oh my God, it's insane. You know, I've seen some stuff where I've seen an application actually built by someone that I know where she's helping companies to detect different types of eczema on black skin because it's not something that has been historically studied. So yeah, incredibly insane what AI can do.
There's even, just to plug one of the other podcast episodes, there's this AI health tech founder whose platform can use voice to detect mental health illnesses.
Wow. That's insane.
And people are like, no, it can't be, but that
it actually is.
By, like, recognizing patterns in speech, they can schizophrenia, bipolar, they can really
Yeah. That's kind of like what we're doing, but on a different
level. Like a So different. It can be applied to many
That's
different.
That's the thing, because the thing is with this, it's the same kind of underlying technology, but the use cases are just, vast. Yeah, vast. But I would say health tech. Environmental tech is always one that I think the government in particular are trying to like push and get more use out of. I'm in recruitment tech. As that one is exploding at the moment.
It really is.
Ed-tech too.
Ed-tech's
blowing up.
Ed-tech is amazing, actually, as well.
It's a privilege to be in this world, isn't it? Like, to see all this, like,
honestly.
I was definitely made for having 5G and not, candlelight.
Yeah, we're all born in the right era.
Yeah, I think so.
Candlelight, not the one.
No, maybe to set the mood at bath time,
but not for every day.
No.
Okay, brilliant. I just wanted to dig into some of the realities of being a founder. So, just to spill the tea, like, what are sort of your worst aspects of being a founder, or maybe a worst moment you've had on this journey?
Yeah, so being a founder it's honestly a mentality, and the people that find themselves here all have this similar kind of entrepreneurial mindset where it's like, kind of like maybe like a dissatisfaction with doing things the way society tells you to do things, we're kind of rebels in a way where we want to do things. We have so many ideas to completely change things, but in that and having that mindset as a founder, you are already not in the box. You're on the outskirts. You don't necessarily fit in anywhere, and so you got to be really confident in yourself and what you can achieve, because you really need to advocate for yourself as an individual.
All the time.
Yeah. It's a constant thing where you have to big yourself up, because the world is a little bit like against you in that sense. So mentally, it's not easy. It's normal to have doubts about your future, if you're making the right decision. So it's like a mental resilience that you need to really keep moving forward.
It takes a lot of faith as well.
And faith,
because you can see something that could happen in 3 years that you're hedging your bet on and trying to communicate that to everyone else.
It's
true. It takes a lot of, people can't see it,
So it takes a lot of faith so much faith in yourself that other people see your value, the value in your ideas. The reality is, the real tea.
Yes.
I would say, the real tea is that if you're really pouring your whole into this, like I'm doing this full time, definitely does also affect your social life. Yeah. Like I don't really have one at the moment.
Well, luckily, your husband is in the business, so you still see him for work.
Exactly. And that's actually a key benefit for us is that we're working together. So we're always talking and we're always in each other's business. So yeah, so at least I have one friend.
And a dog.
And a dog, yeah, which is great. Get a dog. That helps to get outside. But yeah, so
another founder mentioned that their companion was their dog too.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh wow, this is real guys. That people.
Well, I mean, unless you have a dog, you won't go outside. You know, you'll be
You honestly
coding all the time.
won't.
You have to walk the dog.
You
So at
have
least
to.
get away from
Yeah.
the screen.
Yeah, and several times a day, every day, go out with the dog, and it's lovely. It's good to get fresh air. So yeah, definitely the social life. So it's like, you know, luckily for me, my network of friends understand that I'm like the crazy one that keeps doing stuff,
There's
random
an
stuff.
understanding there.
Yeah. I'm always doing things, so they have an understanding that I might see them once every few months or something like that, or I'll try my best.
Which for some people could seem crazy, you know.
Yeah, for some people it is crazy, and
like-
it's definitely a change from my habits from when I wasn't in this program. I was going out more, but you know, yeah, you got to put in the time and the effort.
There's a lot of sacrifice, and thank you for sharing that.
It's a lot of sacrifice, yeah, 100%.
It'll pay off.
It'll pay off, yeah. And you can treat all your friends and be like, I did this for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I can bring them in afterwards. Like, okay,
Could be amazing.
let's all go on holiday.
On Cognevo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess what does the future look like? Obviously, you're coming to the end of
Future
the program.
future for me, future for
For
Cognevo.
both.
Yeah, I mean, I can hope.
Best case scenario.
Best case scenario is everything goes to plan, and we get our partnerships, we get mass adoption, and we expand across London and Europe, which is our first phase, and then our second phase is to expand across the US over the next couple of years, and yeah, to just really grow and make an impact and make a name for ourselves of transforming, hiring, and making the focus on the people and value-based hiring. So that's going to be the future of Cognevo.
Oh, brilliant. And final question to round off the podcast. What is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh, so much advice. I want to have taken it though. That's the thing. My advice to my younger self would have been to believe in yourself and to not give up, because I tried to start a couple of businesses when I was younger, and I did kind of think, okay, maybe it's not for me. But here I am again. And yeah, it's 100% for me. And I think that's the advice I would give to anyone who's entrepreneurial is don't give up, just keep going and believe in yourself.
Brilliant. And I love how you've bounced back again and again.
Yeah.
To who you are today. So thank you so much, Crystal. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
It's been a pleasure to be here.